My hands were shaking as I watched her unlock my front door like she owned the place. For months, this woman had made our lives miserable. Fines, threats, late-night phone calls, you name it, and now she was actually breaking into my house in broad daylight. I couldn't believe the audacity, and honestly, if I could have captured the look on her face when things flipped, I'd put it in a frame right next to my wedding photo. Because, man, when she called the cops, so sure she'd finally nailed me, she had no clue her world was about to collapse. You ever seen a bully get exactly what they deserve? Sweet, sweet justice. There's nothing quite like it. Let me back up a sec. This all started with a garden, a patch of roses and lilies in my backyard. Not some fancy shrine, just a small, carefully tended memorial for my dad, Colonel James Bryant, who died 28 years ago. The garden was his therapy, a way to make something beautiful out of everything he'd seen in Vietnam. For almost 3 decades, I kept it just as he wanted. So when I found military challenge coins placed with surgical precision around those flowers one morning, my first reaction wasn't gratitude. It was a gut-level fear. See, a while back I installed a security camera after some teens vandalized the mailbox. One night it caught a figure moving through my backyard, moving with the kind of discipline you only see in the military. Whoever it was, they knew exactly where the cameras were and how to avoid them. They left no trace, just those coins and a sense that something big was coming. Then comes Kimberly Hall, the queen of the HOA, striding across my lawn with a stack of official-looking papers. Mr. Bryant, I have an emergency health violation regarding your unauthorized memorial. But what stopped me wasn't the threat. It was when she said, I understand your father served at Firebase Charlie, 1968. You want to talk about a chill? Firebase Charlie isn't in public records. That operation was buried, classified, the kind of thing that shouldn't even be on a Wikipedia conspiracy page. Suddenly I'm thinking about who has access to classified files. Who can pull permits out of digital existence? Who cares enough to threaten a memorial garden? My dad had filed for a cemetery permit in 1985, and for decades, it just sat in limbo. Bureaucratic hell, the kind of red tape that grinds you down until you give up. And now this woman, with her carefully rehearsed legalese, is telling me I've got 30 days to remove the garden or face $15,000 in fines. But, hey, maybe we can work something out if I tell her about other heirlooms I've got stored downstairs. That was the real moment. My dad's purple hearts, medals passed down. 3 generations, stuff nobody but my wife and I know about. She's fishing for information that isn't in any public database. That night, I tried to check the permit in the county records. But as I'm reading the file, the screen goes black, the document disappears, and the timestamp shows it was deleted while I was looking at it. Somebody with access was watching me in real time. I started to realize this wasn't some petty HOA drama. This was a full-on operation, and Kimberly wasn't working alone. Janet Martinez, the HOA secretary, called me at dawn, terrified. Don't bring your phone. Coffee shop. 1 hour. She slid me a folder, property surveys, inheritance records, telephoto lens photos of my house, floor plans marked in red, detailed military service. Dossiers. Even more disturbing? Financial records showing the HOA had paid a consulting fee to Heritage Military Appraisals, shipments matching the weight of military metals sent to storage units out west. And then the kicker. Families like mine being systematically targeted, veterans approached with offers to buy or appraise their heirlooms. And if they refused, well, the artifacts started vanishing anyway. Tom Wilson told me he never sold his father's bronze stars, but somehow his signature showed up on a shipping manifest to an auction house in Nevada. Forgery's so good. Even the banks couldn't tell. It wasn't just about theft. It was psychological warfare. They studied every family, medical bills, tuition, PTSD, anything they could use as leverage. The criminals forged donation receipts, auction documents, even thank you notes, making veterans feel crazy or complicit. And every time a family pushed back, evidence would appear to implicate them instead. When my wife Rachel got the call, she's a cop, 20 years on the force. Her face said it all. Our own police database had been hacked, our names, addresses, even psychological evaluations accessed by someone inside. The network went all the way up, from local government clerks to federal records, auction houses, appraisers, even neighbors tricked into giving out information for a neighborhood safety app. But the real twist? The whole operation was orchestrated by a developer, shell companies, fake businesses, laundering stolen artifacts across state lines, making everything look legit on paper. I watched neighbors who'd always smiled at me cross the street, convinced by Kimberly's smear campaign that I was the bad guy. Even as I tried to expose her, she had a lawyer standing by, threatening me with criminal charges for unauthorized access. It all came to a head when the FBI got involved. Agent Victoria Hayes, sharp as a tack, took one look at our evidence and laid out the national scale. 12 states, dozens of HOA presidents, all following the same playbook, all with the same connections to shady auction houses. The operation wasn't just about money. It was about cleaning up secrets from Vietnam, covering up classified missions, erasing history one medal at a time. The sting was cinematic. Kimberly broke into our house again, thinking she'd plant more evidence, but this time federal agents were waiting. Her face when she saw the surveillance team, priceless. All her bravado vanished as Agent Hayes listed the charges: trafficking, wire fraud, breaking and entering, conspiracy. But even in handcuffs, she sneered. "You still don't know who your father really was, do you?" Ask Bill Thompson about the night he died. November 15th, 1995 wasn't a heart attack. That was the final blow. This wasn't just about stolen metals. My father's death, the decades of cover-ups, the targeting of veteran families, it all traced back to something that happened at Firebase Charlie. The network had been erasing people and memories to protect secrets nobody wanted to see the light of day. In the end, the arrests made headlines. Kimberly and her network went down hard. Federal prison, public disgrace, new laws passed to protect veteran families, the whole 9 yards. The community that once turned its back came together, built a new memorial park out of the wreckage. Even the neighbors who doubted me apologized. Rachel was promoted to a federal task force. Janet was honored for whistleblowing. Linda turned her guilt into a mission, helping other neighborhoods spot and stop similar scams. But justice doesn't erase scars. Some nights, I still wonder what my father knew that was worth killing for. The phone calls from Pentagon investigators haven't stopped. They think the conspiracy goes even deeper. Maybe it does. All I know is the fight for justice never really ends. But sometimes, if you stand your ground, you get to see the bad guys go down. If you've ever faced down bullies, HOA, corporation, whatever, tell me your story. Was there a moment when the truth came out and the world finally saw the real villains? Drop your thoughts below, and don't forget, the loudest echoes come from the quietest voices that finally speak up. But, you know, the thing about justice is, just when you think the story's over, life throws you a curveball you never saw coming. So here I was, standing in what used to be my father's memorial garden, now a full-blown community park named after him, kids running past polished displays of metals we'd fought so hard to recover. Sunlight through the oaks, laughter in the air, even the neighbors who once thought I was the villain now giving me a little wave as they pass. I should have felt satisfied, right? But some scars, they don't fade. Not when you know the truth is still buried somewhere, and the people who tried to erase your family's history might not be finished yet. See, after the arrests, after the court dates and the media circus, I thought maybe we'd get our lives back. Rachel, she got her badge back. Even got promoted. Now she's running a task force hunting down other rings like the one that almost destroyed us. Linda, bless her heart, turned her guilt into this force of good, organizing workshops for seniors so they can spot manipulation, so nobody else gets tricked into betraying their neighbors. Janet got a medal, literally, for whistleblowing. And me? I found myself spending more time at the new memorial, just sitting with memories, sometimes waiting for that old sense of dread to fade. But it never quite did. Especially not after that last encounter with Kimberly. Those words haunted me. You still don't know who your father really was, do you? Ask Bill Thompson about the night he died. I tried to let it go. Tried to tell myself she was just playing one last mind game. But you ever get that itch? Like there's a puzzle piece missing, and if you stop looking, it'll drive you nuts for the rest of your life? Yeah, that was me. So I started digging. Not into files or databases this time, but into old friends. I tracked down Bill Thompson. He's in a care home now, Dementia taking more of him every month, but some things, some stories, they're burned in deep. I sat with him, brought coffee and a box of donuts. Most days, he didn't remember me, but he remembered my dad. Every time he saw my face, he'd salute, eyes bright for just a second. One afternoon, he gripped my hand and whispered, "Firebase Charlie. We try to do the right thing, son. Some things you don't ever write down." And that's when it hit me. This whole thing wasn't just about stolen metals or HOA scams. My father and Bill, they'd uncovered something rotten way back in Vietnam. Supplies being funneled to the black market. Maybe even weapons going to the enemy, American soldiers. Profiting off the chaos. The investigation was buried, soldiers reassigned instead of prosecuted. After the war, some of those guys kept going, turning their skills into a global racket, stealing from the very people they once served beside. My father had started poking around again in the 90s, maybe threatening to blow it all open, and paid the ultimate price for it. Heart attack. My ass. Bill's memory faded fast after that, but what he gave me was enough. I turned it over to Agent Hayes, who had already started digging into those old classified files. The deeper she went, the uglier it got. This wasn't just organized crime. It was organized cover-up, government officials helping erase anyone who threatened to expose what really happened at Firebase Charlie. Even decades later, we weren't just fighting for heirlooms. We were fighting to keep the truth from getting buried for good. The national impact was wild. Laws changed. The Bryan Act got passed, making it a federal crime to target veterans through HOA or property scams, mandating background checks for anyone running a homeowners association in a military community. Rachel started flying out to other states, helping set up new protections, training local police to spot the signs early. You'd think the story would end with a big happy bow, right? But life's not a movie, and the shadows stick around even after the sun comes up. 2 years to the day after Kimberly's arrest, I got a call from a Pentagon investigator. A Colonel Mitchell said she'd been following the Bryant case. And now there was evidence that some of the same people who'd targeted us were planning something even bigger. She wanted to meet, said there were still names on a list, and mine was at the top. I'd be lying if I said my hands didn't shake picking up that phone. Sometimes I wonder what would have happened if I'd just let the garden die, paid the fine, let the HOA win. Maybe I'd still have peace and quiet. Maybe my father's memory would have faded into the background. Just another story told on Memorial Day. But you know what? Even with all the hell, I wouldn't change a thing. Because the truth matters, even when it hurts. Because standing up, even when everyone thinks you're wrong, is how things actually change. So if you're sitting there right now, feeling like the whole world's stacked against you, like there's nobody on your side, like speaking up will just bring you more trouble than it's worth, let me tell you, it is worth it. Maybe not today, maybe not tomorrow. But someday, when the dust settles, you'll look around and realize you're still standing. And maybe, just maybe, you helped someone else stand up too. That's the story. That's what really happened. After the cameras stopped rolling, after the news crews packed up and the headlines faded. Some days I still catch myself glancing over my shoulder, waiting for the next twist, the next anonymous call, the next secret from the past clawing its way into the present. But most days, I walk through that memorial park, hear the laughter, see kids learning about what those medals actually mean. And I know we did something right, at least for now. So what do you think? Was it worth it? Is justice ever really finished? Or do we just keep passing the torch, hoping the next generation fights a little harder to protect what matters? Drop your thoughts below. Maybe your story's not over yet, either. And hey, if you ever find yourself staring down someone who thinks they're untouchable, remember, sometimes the smallest voice can bring down a giant, if it just refuses to stay quiet.